Hey, if anyone from DICE EA watches this, give me my roofs back. Gentlemen, I had a whole bunch of videos that I'm working on for this channel. Mainly movie stuff that I want to go over, but here I am talking about Battlefield 6 once again. Mom, get the camera. The trench guy is talking about Battlefield 6 again. Nobody wants this. But here I am talking about this ass game once again. I had hope, I had ambitions, I had a dream for what was Battlefield 6, and I had optimism until I lost it all. They took it from me! They took everything from me! Everything!
Bureau files. For observational use only. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Season 2 just dropped. There's been updates. Things have changed in the Battlefield 6 digital landscape. I am hyper animated about this subject. There's plenty of things in the world that I'm mad about. And the fact that I have to now spend this emotional energy on a fictional video game designed for dads, at least it should be, is mind-boggling. This is like peak bread and circus maxing. What's the big dilemma, you might ask? Bureau files, what's going on? There was a map in Battlefield 6 in a game mode that I loved with everything of my whole heart. It was the funnest thing about the game for me, getting on the roofs of Sobek City and Breakthrough. Now, the general vibe I get from the Battlefield community, most players were not fans of Sobek City, especially in the Breakthrough game mode. There would be sightings of the roofs actually breaking the game and making it not fun for either team. I couldn't disagree with that soft-ass take anymore. I liked the aspect of the verticality of that map. I thought it was a really fun dynamic. In this new update, they made that area out of bounds on all of the roofs. Be me. Fire up Battlefield 6. Last night, at the time of filming this, I'm playing with my battle dads. We have been playing Battlefield for years. Normally we play more hardcore shooters now because that's our flavor of the tism, but we've been on a big Battlefield kick since it's come out because we've always been, Battlefield guys. That's been our franchise. We played a few games of Red Sec, which is I've warmed up to, get a W, lose the rest of them, and then we head over to Breakthrough to cleanse the palate. And my demand is we play Sobek City. It's my favorite map because of the roofs. As we do our usual route to get up there, blowing the building apart so we can get the ladder going. What I discovered is that our main ladder climber, he can't go any higher. We have a whole system, and the system has been destroyed. What's funny about this is that the devs can update this, but they can't fix the IFV blowing up on the attack. It's like a hit or miss. I've played some matches where the IFV will not blow up, but for the most part, when you're attacking, the IFV just blows up off the rip. So with them taking away the roofs of Sobek, it was the straw that broke the camel's back. I've already been through one heartbreak with the game, and that's when they took away the drone tactic of hitting it with a sledgehammer to get really high to get to hard to reach places. I liked that a lot. A lot of people had complaints. The counter to that is get your own drone team to go kill those people. I like when a video game can reward creative thinking. If we look at high-speed military units, what kind of defines the high-end military operator? Is it the ability to shoot really good? Is it the ability to be really physically fit? Is it the ability to be really good at your job? Well, I think yes, that all ties into it, but I think ultimately taking those factors and pairing it with this ability to solve problems very creatively. Now, what does that have to do with a video game? Well, it's a chance to simulate that in a very safe environment where you don't have any bodily harm. You're playing a video game and now you get to work with your friends to solve problems while fighting against the enemy. I like to have a taste of that, and I like as many options and tools as possible to take on the enemy. I don't like to try and have these constraints where it's like if real life, if this option exists to use a ladder to get to a high spot where I can shoot at the enemy, then I like that a lot. Oh, it's not fair. You're ruining the balance of the gameplay. This is an optimized map to make sure that the optimization of the flow is good for all players. How about you shut up? How about that? How about you engage in problem solving on the fly also? Oh, you got guys on the roof? Hey, you know mortars exist? Ooh, how about you throw some C4 on a drone? Yeah, how about you get a little creative with your problem solving? Not every problem requires the hammer that is a rifle. Not all solutions are nails. Sometimes you need a screwdriver to drive it home. Now, some people could call the game unrealistic in general, and yes, to a certain degree, you would be right. What the game is doing, it is streamlining the experience of warfare to a certain extent. If you look at warfare, if you talk to anyone that's been paid to carry a gun, typically they'll tell you the job is about 90 to 99% sheer boredom and suffering, with 1% sheer exhilaration. That doesn't make for a very good video game, so you have to have a lot of lives to experience just all-out chaos. Now, in looking at the tactics of Breakthrough, one may think, well, you're playing this game mode where you have a boundary, where in real life we would just flank around and go around them outside of the boundary. There wouldn't be a boundary. I'll play devil's advocate for what Breakthrough is. And for that, we gotta look at 2004, the invasion of Fallujah. 2004 invasion of Fallujah. If we look at the military, United States military taking on the city, how do you invade a city? Well, you chunk it out and you delegate people in groups to take on certain portions of the city. And that's kind of what Breakthrough is. You take different guys, an organization, and you say, okay, this company, this brigade, this division, however big you want to get it, is going to invade this sector, and that's their sector of responsibility. And they're allotted certain assets and availabilities of air power, artillery for getting the job done. And then you go even smaller into that. It's like, all right, hey, you can go all the way down to like this platoon is responsible for this. Okay, first squad, you're taking this building once we get to this objective, and then we're gonna clean house once we get there, yada, yada. You break it down and you make it manageable all the way down to the individual. Breakthrough is kind of cool about that because Breakthrough is kind of simulating that. You have 32 on 32, so it's kind of like a platoon on platoon fighting, and you're taking these objectives, and it's very fun, fast-paced, and ultimately arcade style of shooting. I know what the game is, right? I'm not saying it's this hardcore military simulation. No, it's not that. What it is like a more streamlined, middle ground, shooter. It's above Call of Duty in terms of scale and fun, at least for me, in terms of, maybe realism, but it's definitely not to the level of like Squad or Arma or Hell Let Loose. But it's a reoccurring theme whenever I talk about video games on this channel. It's about the ROI of fun to time ratio. Battlefield for me has always been a good version of that. It's actually probably been on the higher end compared to these other shooters. From rough memory, it's not that bad. Now, ultimately, one of my favorite tactics in the game was the drone tactic. I really enjoyed it. I thought there was a lot of fun flanking ability, getting to hard to reach places and capitalizing on that and terrorizing an enemy team. I thought that was a really fun mechanic. You may be just like crashing out in the comments. I don't care, you're soft. My next best thing, once they took that away, was using the ladders. Now, the best map to arguably use the ladders on was Sobek City because you have a gadget that is ladders and you actually get to utilize that gadget. Now, what are good are the ladders if you can't get past the second story? Pretty much they're useless for the assault class. I guess, I don't know, maybe the Battlefield fan base is just so soft they can't handle the idea of people on the roofs of Sobek. Such terminally weak energy, it dissatisfies me and I find it unsatisfactory. Now, on Sobek, I played it so much with the boys and I had Cody, Jared, and David. We had a very fluid system. And just for my own sanity, I'm gonna talk about that system, both attacking and defending. I feel like you guys know this feeling, but when you work together with the bros to accomplish something in terms of fighting the enemy, it is an extremely satisfying feeling. Playing the game by yourself can be fun. Playing with randos that are getting after it, being aggressive, also fun. Playing with your friends that you've been playing video games with for years and dominating on that battlefield is extremely satisfying. Ultimately, that's something that's been robbed from me. But our system of attack, when we were on the offense, was pretty good. I'd grab support and or assault. Jared is our assault ladder guy. Cody is either a recon or a sniper, and David is an engineer. Off the rip, we spawn, IFV gets destroyed, we take the Jeep, and we scurry up to the left side of the building on Alpha. I'll stay in the Jeep gun to provide suppressive fire. Jared hops out and immediately deploys a ladder. You may be wondering, what is he laddering up to? Well, at that time, David, the engineer, was hitting the building with rockets, the tall building on Alpha. This would allow an opening so Jared could climb in and immediately start the climb to get up to the top of the roof. Now, once at the top of the roof, by that point, I may have been shot out of the gun and dead already, but he's already on top of the roof, so he deploys a spawn beacon up there. I spawn off Jared and give him some ammo. That way he can stay in the fight, and in case we need to get another spawn beacon going, in case that spawn beacon was destroyed by ordnance, or a drone. By that point, the rest of the boys are on the roof, and now we have a 4-man element on top of the roof. Now, this was the go-to strategy for a while on offense during the first sector. From that position, you can shoot down into Bravo and of course into Alpha in just about every direction. It's a very powerful position. Now, is it an invincible, impenetrable position? No, it is definitely frustrating the other team, and people often crashed out in the type to chat. And it was my favorite thing ever, just watching people just get super mad. I loved it. So to counter that, you would just blow up the building from the backside and then ladder up and have to kill them if you want to do it on foot. Of course, you could also deploy mortars if you're on the defense from a good safe position and try and kill us that way. Now, one thing I learned over time is that I would eventually move on to this roof right here, because from these two roofs, and of course the map isn't perfectly spaced, these roofs are actually pretty close, these buildings I should say, you can directly and closely engage into the Alpha sector much better, throwing frags into the building on the first floor, shooting guys off the objective, hitting guys that go around the flank over here, and then if the things are lining up and you're not getting hit too much from the defender's HQ area, you can start shooting into Bravo or into guys trying to come into Alpha from their spawn. So it's a pretty good advantageous position. Now, there's also the benefit in this first sector that from the rooftop, you could potentially do a run, jump, and parachute on top of the construction site building at Bravo, thus giving you not necessarily capture power, but disruptive power to kill enemy troops as they're trying to defend. You are just disrupting their whole flow. And now if you have an IFV that eventually comes back online and you guys are starting to push into Bravo, you're in the backfield, you have guys on top, and wham bam thinking, man, you take the sector on to number two. Number two, this is where sector gets interesting. Now in the last sector, potentially the defense, a lot of times guys and snipers congregate along this little area right here. There's a berm, and then there's a rocket launcher right here, and there's another small building that should be right there. Sorry guys, I'm not getting too detailed, but I'm sorry. That was in the first sector, guys would congregate right here. Now, a lot of times, the more savvy players and teams would actually defend from these buildings back here. Now, in general, this is not the most effective tactic for winning because you have a squad at the bare minimum who is not on a capture point, but is in theory laying down a lot of hate. So you have 4 guys not on the objective, but you do have 4 guys killing the enemy players that aren't getting to defend the objective and or attack the objective, say if we're on the defense. Now, warfare, there is a big tactic called support by fire, where you may not be directly getting to the objective, but you may be offset supporting your assaulting forces with covering fire, suppressive fire, lethal fire as they assault to the objective, and you would shift fire so you don't kill your own guys. Thankfully, in this game mode, we don't have to worry about friendly fire, so if I drop mortars on my guys, they're not gonna die. As we get to the second sector, the next tactic is this building right here. First orientation of movement. Jared and the rest of the gang all parachute down and we move along, and Jared deploys his ladder and gets up here. Usually I would send it into the fray to go fight, get myself killed. One of the tactics we developed is that we wouldn't try and piggyback off of our battle buddy's ladder because it would slow the process down, making you more prone to enemy fire because speed is security. Jared would then ladder up this building and get on the roof. At that point, he would then ladder to this building, number 2, at which point we're kind of scanning, making sure no one else is up here, and then he would deploy ladder to building number 3. So building number 3, you would then head to building number 4 and then to building number 5. Ideally, building number 5 offers you good sight lines. For the longest time, we would hang out at building number 4 and just shoot directly down, but this is more advantageous as a defensive building than it is an offensive building when you're trying to take Alpha. Now, if you do get on the roofs, attacking and taking this sector becomes much easier. Having now played the map without the roofs, I don't like it as much and I find it way more boring and unthrilling, but I am of course rather biased in this topic. This is where me and the guys typically would congregate. There is this mountain pass from their HQ during Sector 2 where a lot of reinforcements from the enemy defensive team will come through. So from roof number 5, you can engage this mountain pass and engage out in this way. But what I discovered while playing it is I wasn't a big fan. Typically I'd run like an M4 carbine with the suppressed and thermal, so I would jump down to this building here, number 6. Now number 6 is a little bit lower than number 5 and number 3 and number 4, to be fair. But the ideal was you have a really good line of sight down low. You can see guys coming in from the alleyways on every direction, and you're a little bit closer with an M4 to engage the mountain pass and melt guys coming in for the reinforcements. A problem to worry about that I would discover is a lot of guys hang out in the construction site, and then or a lot of guys will be either trying to ladder back up, or if there's guys on the second floor of the top that will shoot down at you. So you got to clear everything out before you can move to that building number 6. Then there's also guys that hang out on the balconies on the low levels that will shoot up at you if you don't pay attention. But it's a really good building. I was racking up insane kills using this method right here. I would do okay with my loadout over on these roofs at Alpha for the first sector, but this is where I got a lot of my kills for the match and really pulled my weight around this point. So once you take this point, the next tactic was to go to this building right here, number 7. There's a tower right there. That tower is really important because we have the next set of buildings that we're trying to get to. Number 1 and number 2 right there. You can tell how invested I am in this. So Jared, if he was over at number 5 or he hadn't already, once we capture the sector, he would jump over to this building, climb the tower, put down a spawn beacon, deploy a ladder as a ramp in that tower, run, sprint, jump. What we discovered through doing this so much, you don't have to take this building down to get on top of it. You can parachute and get to the very top of the ledge. At that point, we could spawn on Jared, resupply him, get a new spawn beacon down, and we were in the enemy's pretty much backfield because on Alpha, there is this big berm right here that the enemy likes to congregate at, and you have a direct line of sight to scrape them off that berm, thus allowing your guys to move in more freely, and you can scrape off the defenders on this little top valley right here, allowing your guys to get a better foothold. Things do get very hectic on that roof. Now, from the number 1 roof, my favorite tactic was to have Jared deploy a ladder as a ramp. I run up onto this small little cubicle box thing, jump to building number 2 back there. I know things are getting kind of small on the screen, but we'll have some tight inserts. That was like a 2-story construction building, but it gets you that much further into the enemy's backfield. And from there, we would absolutely wreak havoc about 90% of the time, just ruining the map for guys that have no brain or wherewithal to try and counter. We were just pretty dang good at it. And that was my reasoning for loving that map. Just absolute pure domination of my will. And they took it away from me. Now, why would Battlefield do this to me? Little old me, Bureau Files.
Money.
I think to play devil's advocate, they are a business and they are trying to cater to the median Battlefield player. The median Battlefield player may be some dude that just wants a good casual gameplay to check out from the grueling 9-to-5 hustle. He may not be a just diabolical sweat such as myself. He just wants to have a good time. So if his casual guy who is a potential spender in their microtransaction store, which is a big detail going to come into play later, but if he is getting frustrated by the game, by these sweats that are taking advantage of a system in the game that is within the rules, it's not like you're going out of bounds, you're not cheating, you're using the gadgets and the environment that you have access to, but if he just can't, get it going, he's gonna log off and go play something else like Arc Raiders. Totally understandable. But that's a problem to the Battlefield business, to DICE, to EA, to the guys that want to make money off this business venture, because making these games costs a lot of money. And the goal is to make that money back. And how do you make that money back? Well, one such way is not just selling copies of the game, but selling content within the game. How do you sell content? You keep people playing for longer. That ups the probability that they're going to spend money on stuff. If they play it longer, they feel more invested. They want to open up their wallet and buy the dumbass skins that you have for sale in your market. Oh, it's the year of the Chinese dragon, whatever the hell it is. Yeah, let me open up my wallet and spend my boo-boo bucks on it. Give me a break! When I was growing up, Battlefield was all about faceless soldiers from known countries fighting each other in all-out chaos. Now it's just these lame mercenaries and NATO going at it. Oh, and you want to look like a highlighter running around the battle? Sure, pal, be my guest. Here's neon green. That's the problem, right? These people, this entity of a business has to appeal to as many people as possible. That's how a lot of big business works. That's why they follow mainstream trends. No matter how lame they may see, they want to capitalize on people's money. If you look at, politically controversial issues, right? Say, with LGBTQ stuff, you may look at a company and be like, why are they so into that? Well, the goal is they want to try and capitalize on that small demographic of people that may actually be that. And then they want to capitalize on all those people that support those people. And then they're trying to bank on the fact that really, there may just be a whole swath of people that don't care, but they're trying to cash in on a small demographic. It's business. They don't want to leave that money on the table. So if you look at Battlefield and we have a map like Sobek where 80% of the players are probably like, yo, I hate this map because of the roofs, they're gonna nix the roofs. No matter how autistic I am and from enjoying it, I'm gone, I'm cooked, I'm ruined, I'm in, I'm done for. Fun fact, in my other job, I was at this thing called SHOT Show. And while at SHOT Show, I actually got to run into the devs for Battlefield that work on the firearms. I, of course, had many questions, but it was cool to meet those guys. You gotta think about this business is that it's like a massive entity. You have all these people that work for other people and it goes all the way to the top, and I think the Saudis just bought out EA. So I mean, who knows how the game will turn out, but I just wanted to throw that tidbit in there. I thought it was kind of fun. I did ask one of the guys, I was like, yo, where's the Scar 17 at? I want the Scar 17. He's like, dude, same. I've been grilling him about it. So there is potential that we have some cool dudes on the inside, okay? Now, in general, the roofs, yet again, was a straw that broke the camel's back, right? It's a one issue across a larger, broad issue. Ultimately, the entire thing in the reality of the universe doesn't matter. But to me, for this video, it's the biggest deal ever, pal. It's a bigger issue that it represents. It's the dumbing down of digital warfare and chaos, removing the agency from the individual player. That's the problem that I have with it. It's saying that, hey, you as a soldier in this fictional setting are not competent enough to handle the fact that other soldiers can get on this roof. That's a problem. It removes that level of problem solving and critical thinking and handling confrontation. It may not be a 100% fair tactic. I still think it's 100% fair. But to the normie out there that is 100% dopamine riddled, always doom scrolling and gooning, that can't have problem solving, yeah, it's probably like the end of the world to him on that map. Like, I can't shoot them up there, what do I do? They have to keep that dumbass on the game. Ironically, I did spend money in Battlefield 6. I bought the Ranger skin. I was a consumer. I wanted that, it looks sick. But here I am getting hosed. Another problem I have, and this is like with myself and other guys in my age demographic, we're getting old. We're getting to unk status. We have lived through a lot of life by now. I am looking down the barrel of 30, and it is right here to my forehead, about to absolutely blow my brains out. The guys in my cohort have lived through a lot of video games, and a lot of times we look back at games with rose-colored glasses, and we think, man, that was the golden era of Battlefield. Arguably, Battlefield 3 was golden era. But we look back with rose-tinted glasses. The industry in the games have to evolve. They have to constantly be getting new clientele. Them just banking on having these battle dads into eternity is not a safe bet for a business. It's not something that I would do. The goal would be to always attract new clientele. If you're a business publicly traded, you have to show that you are growing. You can't just be this pure creative venture. You have to bring profit into it. And so that's an absolute factor that plays to it. So they have to do everything within their power to not make it like a super hyper niche military simulation shooter, and I wouldn't expect them to. But what I'm asking is to like at least try and keep it as, you know, just gritty and fun as possible. There may be things about it that could be not optimal in terms of arena style gameplay, but at least it's there and you can utilize it. But that's what they're not doing. They're trying to make these things feel like you're on a rail system. It's a curated experience to make you have as much fun as possible so you stay longer as possible to spend more money as possible. This whole thing, you're probably just thinking like, why don't you just play Conquest on Sobek and get on the roofs then? It's not the same, dude. It's not the same when it's so easy to get up there. It's the challenge of getting up under fire and then the challenge of dethroning someone up there that's on the roofs. That's what makes it fun because you're playing a game within a game at that point. You're trying to dominate the roofs for your team so you don't get dominated by the roofs. Like, that's the fun aspect to it. In Conquest, it's like someone just flies a helicopter over and blows you up. It's not the same. Get with the program. I do feel a lot better getting this off my chest. Now, this may seem like a rant, because it is. I did want to rant about this, but it's a reminder to myself and to you guys out there whenever you feel frustration with a product that is curated for the masses, to realize that it's going to follow the money. If they look at where, say, a majority of their player base is dissatisfied, they are going to sacrifice the minority of that player base to make sure the majority stays on and is very happy. So, there you go. Gentlemen, I got nothing else for you. Godspeed.